Welcome to How to Cook That. I'm Ann Reardon and this week we're making something super fun. It's an Operation Game cake that actually makes sound. This week's Notification Squad shout out goes to Beautiful Nature. For your chance at a shout out, turn on notifications and write done in the comments so I know that you have done so. To make this crazy cake, you will need flour, gelatin, baking powder, salt, sugar, cream of tartar, egg whites, water, oil and egg yolks, and I'll put all these recipe quantities on the howtocookthat.net website for you, and of course I'll put a link to that below. To start with, put the gelatin and the baking powder and the salt and the sugar into the flour. Whisk those together to get rid of any lumps and to aerate the mixture. Make a hole in the center just using your spoon to scoop it to the edges, and then pour in the oil, the egg yolks and the water, and you want to not stir that, just leave it as it is to one side. Add the cream of tartar to your egg whites and whip them up on high speed until you get soft peaks. Now use your beaters to mix together the flour mixture on low speed until all those ingredients are just combined. Add in the egg whites and fold them carefully, scooping down to the bottom and up over the top, keeping as much air in your cake batter as you can. Pour that into 2 trays and you want to bake those in the oven until they're done. While that's baking, let's make our strawberry sauce. Wash and hull your strawberries, then place them in a pan with strawberry jam and the water. And you want to stir that until it boils and then let it simmer until the fruit becomes soft. Turn off the heat and just leave that to cool. Once your cake is cooled, trim off the edges so that you have a nice rectangle. Make up a double batch of my vanilla buttercream, and again that recipe is on the website and I'll link you to that below. And put a small amount of buttercream onto your cake board and add your first tray cake. Brush this with vanilla simple syrup to keep the cake nice and moist, and then cover it in the buttercream. Then add the next cake. Brush that with simple syrup too, and then cover all the top and the sides with buttercream, making it as smooth as you can, keeping any leftover buttercream because you'll need that later. Now on our game, we're only going to have 6 different sounds, so you're going to need to decide which ones those are going to be. I'm going for the heart, the arm, the ribs, the foot and the leg. And now you want to cut those out to make it easy to mark where they are on the cake. And I'll put a PDF of this printout on the website to help you. Spread some tempered white chocolate onto some baking paper in the size of the cake or just a little bit bigger. And as it's starting to set, cut around the shape of your cake and then place your patient on top and make incisions where you have chosen to operate. Tracing around each one, and then leave that covered with baking paper and a tray while it sets. Roll out some pink fondant and cut out the shorts shape, remembering to cut out the horse as well. Now cut out little hearts from the shorts. Now I'm using a homemade cutter. If you want to know how to make homemade cutters, you can see my Twitter dessert video and I show you in detail how to do it there. It's very handy for things like this when you want a specific size and you're probably not going to use it again. I'll link to that video at the end. Now use the cutter to cut some red hearts in the exact same size, of course, and then add them into place, sliding them from the top of the heart in first and then gently pushing them down. You can, of course, just trim the ones that are overlapping on the edges. Keep a spare heart and squash it down a bit flatter, and then cut down the middle in a zigzag to make it look like the broken heart that sits on his chest. To make the teddy, cut around the shape in light brown fondant and then cut out skinny little triangles of fondant from around the edge to give his fur like that jagged furry look. Add a lighter coloured ball of fondant to his tummy and flatten that down, and then add another one in place for his little nose and his feet and his ears. Use some black gel food colouring to paint on his nose, his mouth, his eyes and his eyebrows, and then begin to outline the rest of the bear. Use white food colouring to lighten the centre of the band-aid and add a highlight to his eyes and a little bit on his nose. Now use some powdered brown food colouring to add shading to the bear, which just makes it look a little bit more 3D. Add a little red fondant thermometer and he's ready to go. Back to our white chocolate. When I was trying to remove the little bits, it cracked, so I'd suggest that you take them out while the chocolate is still soft. So I'm just repairing mine with a little bit more white chocolate and then taking out those little spaces that we needed cut out now while it's still soft. Roll out some yellow fondant and place it over the top of your chocolate. If you have a silpet, which is this silicone mat, rolling the fondant out on that will give it a slight fabricy texture. Gently press the fondant to find where the holes are in the chocolate and where the edges are, and then cut away those edges, and then place the printout over the top to see where the yellow sheet is supposed to come to. Cut across just there and then remove the printout and extend those lines to the edges, and then peel off the excess yellow fondant away from the top. Cut out each of the holes following the shape of your chocolate, and then take that extra bit of fondant out, and then draw a line across the top of your sheet and add little indents across the top for stitching. Now, if you didn't have a silpat, then you can add some fabricy texture by making little indents one way using your knife, and then turn it 90 degrees and go across it the other way. You don't need to do this over the whole thing, just in some patches, and your mind will fill in the blanks. Just like when you have a cartoon building, they only draw in some of the bricks, and your mind just assumes that then it's a brick wall. If they're too pronounced, just give it a gentle little rub to bring it back a bit. Add some blue fondant across the top of the bed and then trim the edges. Using the rounded end on the back of a paintbrush, just indent the pillow shape so you know where it's going to go, and then use your gel food colouring to outline the pillow. Use some watered down colour for the shadowing, and then use black gel colour to shade behind your pillow. Now use some fondant in the colour of his skin, roll it out and cut around all of his body and his hair. Place that onto the cake and cut out the holes. Add his shorts into place, just tucking it underneath his tummy there, and then cut out and add in each of his legs. Put some white fondant over his bandaged foot and then begin to outline the rest of him. Now you could of course print this design using edible ink onto fondant or rice paper, and that would be quicker, but for those of you who don't have access to that, this works just as well and in fact looks a bit better and a bit brighter. Use some red to outline the shorts and some silver mixed with lemon juice to outline the holes, and don't forget to add his belly button. Add some white fondant for his eyes and a little bit over the top for his eyelids. Then paint the details on his face just like you did on his body, just following what you can see on the picture on the box. If you do make any mistakes, just wet a clean paintbrush and gently rub the little bit of food colouring that you don't want, and then just dab it with paper towel and it will come straight off. Add a rounded cylinder of red fondant for his nose, and then using white food colouring, highlight his nose, his eyes, just under his eyes, and the little bit on his lip, and streaks through his hair. Again, just looking at the picture on the box so that you know where those highlights go. Now paint on the pictures next to each hole of what's supposed to be in each one, and then use the end of your paintbrush to make a hole for his mouth, and add a snake of red for the thermometer. Put a ball of red on the top and outline that with white, and then add the lines for the scale up the thermometer. Now use some powdered brown food colouring to add some shading to the skin, just like we did on the teddy bear. Speaking of the teddy, let's add him into place on the pillow just next to your man. Now to make the cake make sounds. I'm using a really small cardboard box and Makey, which is a really easy to use customizable board. Draw on one side of your box where the space needs to be for the cord to come out and where the wires are. With Makey, it comes with these white wires that you can push into the base, or with alligator clips. You want to use the wires for this because the clips are too long and bulky for inside the cake. Remove the area that you drew with the knife and then pull the wires through the hole so the board sits inside the box. Then thread the earth wire and the computer cable through the other hole on the side of the box. Next, you want to completely cover your box in tape to make it waterproof. I'm using wide packing tape and giving it a couple of extra coats all over the box and around where the wires exit the box. Now in one corner of your cake, cut out a piece the size of your box and remove that cake. Add the box into place with the wires pointing straight up and the computer cable and earth wire coming out of the side. Then cover that with buttercream, and for those of you who are concerned that you won't know where the box is when you go to cut the cake, the computer cable coming out of the side should be a good reminder for you. Temper some milk chocolate and spread it onto some foil, making sure it's slightly bigger than your cake. Once it's starting to set, place some paper in the size of the cake over the top and cut around the outside like we did before. Measure the position of the wires on your cake so you know how far in and how far up they are sitting, and then find that location on your cake and cut out a circle using the back of a piping tip. Add some baking paper and place a tray over the top to help stop the chocolate from curling as it sets. Once it is set, remove the foil and add it over the top of the cake, feeding the wires through that hole. Now put some baking paper over the top and rest the white chocolate over that and draw on using a knife where each of your holes are. This is important that you get them in the right spot, that's why we've put the white chocolate on. Then you can take the white chocolate off and mark them clearly with an X where each of them are. Twist the wires around and curve them in a circle. We're just trying to make them a bit shorter, and then spread them out, so fan them out so they're not touching each other, and use some tempered chocolate to hold them into place. Now we want to create a channel for our sauce so it can make a circuit with the wire. That way we don't have to have the wires going through the whole cake. We can just have them all right here next to the box so we can take that out in one piece. I'm using chocolate and Twizzlers to make my channels. Remember that you want one wire in each channel. So that's 2, 3, 4, 5, where's 6? I've missed it, there it is. Okay, close that one off so there's one wire there and bring the other one around. And you also want to add more around the edges and in the spare areas. That's just to support the white chocolate. Puree your cold sauce to make it smooth so there's no lumps in it. And then add some sauce into each section, making sure your sauce goes all the way up to the wire. Pipe some buttercream around the top. And now add your white chocolate piece into place to hide all the Twizzlers and the sauce. Cut a strip of red fondant that's the height of the cake and rub it with a little oil on top, and then roll it up, place it on the side of the cake and unroll it, wrapping it around to cover the edges. And this just makes it look like the edges of the game because they're bright red. Add a snake of fondant all the way around the base just to make it super neat. And then cut out tiny shapes to go in each of the holes. Or if there'll be lots of kids wanting to have a go, you could just avoid this step and use mini M&Ms instead. Now, on your computer, go to a website called scratch.mit.edu and sign up for a free account. Once you've got that open, click on Events and drag when space key is pressed over to a spot on the right-hand side. Click the arrow next to the space and choose A. Now click on Sound and drag Play Sound Until Done over and join it underneath. Press the arrow next to Meow and choose Record. Press the circle button to record and say what you want it to say when it's pressed, and then press the square to stop recording. Select any blank pauses at the start and the end of your recording and delete them so that our sound happens immediately when they touch the source. And name your recording so you know which one's which, and then click on the Scripts tab to go back. Now when you press down next to Meow there, your new sound is there. Next, click on Control and choose Wait 1 second and add that to the bottom. This is just so the sound doesn't repeat immediately. It gives a little moment for them to move on to the next one. Keep doing that for A, S, D, F and G. That is where our wires are plugged into in the back of Makey Makey. Then plug your computer cable into the computer with Scratch open and running, and attach the earth wire to the tweezers, and then it's time to play.
Hey, that's my heart!
You can of course customize these sounds to suit the age level of the people at the party.
Are you some kind of quack?
Whoa! It makes a noise? That's so cool.
Ouch! You're making me nervous. That tickles.
Click here for the recipe details, here for more of my videos. Make it a great week, and I'll see you on Friday.
That tickles.